Welcome back to another episode of Weights and Wealth with your co-hosts, Ted Rohr and Nick Rafferty. Today we'll be talking about how to stay healthy while having an office job and how to stay or become wealthy while being a broke college student. Our shout out for this episode goes to Pat from Chicago, Illinois. Thank you for listening and giving us feedback, Pat. We appreciate it.
Okay, and this week's wealth wisdom is to learn cash management. So cash management is really important for a business, but you can also apply it to your own personal life because money that's just sitting in the bank, not earning interest, not growing, isn't doing anything for you. And one example that I really like to give is, say that your monthly spend is $2,000 and you put that on a credit card to be paid off the following month. You have an additional $2,000 invested in the market permanently at that point, which at 8% for 40 years will grow to about $43,000.
Nice.
So
good math there, Nick.
Yeah. Just off the top of my head, no. Cash management is really important. You do want an emergency fund, but any extra or additional cash you should have working for you, whether it be in a business, in the stock market.
Even just in a high interest savings account.
Yeah, because if you're planning on spending it within a couple of years, you should really just try to find a high yield savings account.
Yeah. All right. That was a good wealth wisdom of the week.
Do you have an article for us?
I do have an article.
Is it relevant to?
Not at all. I came across this article. I'm going to read you the title. If you are watching, we'll post the picture from the article. If you're just listening, maybe head to YouTube and search this episode for this article so you can see and follow along with us, or Google it. The title of the article is "Mom Calls Out School Officials for Confiscating 11-Year-Old's Inappropriate Drawing. Quote, this is very much a bow tie." Now we'll put the picture up, but it's an 11-year-old drew a pig that is wearing a tie and a bow tie, but both sides of the bow tie are circles.
When we were preparing for the episode, Ted laughed, I think, 15 minutes straight after he saw this. I mean, it's funny.
It's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. I can't stop laughing at it. I guess I'm just more of a child than Nick is, but it does not look like a bow tie. It straight up looks like a penis. So it's funny.
All right. Do you have anything more to say about that? No.
That's it.
Okay. Well, here's something that might be semi-useful. There is an online bank out there. It's called Fitness Bank, and they have a high-yield savings account that will pay you more interest based on how many steps you get. So the max interest you get, I think it's like 4.1, 4.2% if you get over 12,500 steps a day. And it drops a lot if you fall into the 10,000 to 12,500 range. I think it drops to like 2% But 4% for a savings account is really good. And plus it also encourages you to get steps throughout the day, which is kind of what we're talking about.
And a lot of people won't hit that number. So while the rest of the market might be giving a 3 or a 4% interest, they're not doing that for everyone that's falling short of that 12,500 number. So
right.
I guess that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, and I've seen a few apps that essentially kind of pay you to get in shape. I know there's one where you make a bet against yourself for how much weight you'll lose or something like that. And you get paid.
Seems risky.
Yeah, it does. I'm just kind of curious what the business model is and how the bank benefits from offering a higher interest rate for
just attracting more customers,
steps.
I guess.
Yeah, it could be.
that leads us into how to stay healthy with an office job. And the first thing that we'll talk about is getting your steps. So having a step target of 10,000 steps to stay active throughout the day. This will help you make sure that you're moving around. Most smartwatches that people have will track it, whether you have an Apple Watch or a Garmin. Or you can go old school, early 2000s, get one of those little pedometer things, clip on your belt.
I remember after like the auditorium presentation when somebody brought that, everybody wanted one.
Just shake it. Yep. So if you get steps and you have a step goal and you hit that step goal, if your step goal is 8,000, 10,000, 12,000, that means you're going to be relatively active throughout the day. If you struggle to get up throughout the day, this can be really useful. And also, if you have a step goal, but you struggle with hitting it with an office job because you're pretty sedentary, what you can do is just set a goal for yourself and go on a 5 to 10 minute walk after each of your meals. So after breakfast, lunch, and dinner, go on a 5, 10, 15-minute walk. This will help regulate your blood sugar levels and will help increase your activity throughout the day. Just going to the gym for 1 hour a day and then being sedentary for the rest of the day really isn't enough movement for us. We should be more active than that.
Yeah, I've been going for walks after I eat my lunch, and it also just clears your head a lot more. I think most studies have shown that you think better after a 10, 15-minute walk.
Yeah, I think if everyone went on a walk, they'd be better off. And then a lot of people will say, "Oh, I can't go on a walk. I live in Wisconsin and it's too cold during the day," or "I live in Georgia in the summer. I can't go out. I'd be too sweaty when I come back." Well, then maybe you go on a walk inside the building. You might not be getting sunlight, but at least you're still moving around and looking presentable for the rest of the day and not freezing. I don't know. Whatever your excuse is for not doing these walks, we'll combat those excuses. The next thing that we have to talk about is meal prepping. One of the hardest jobs of staying healthy, one of the hardest aspects of staying healthy with an office job is falling into the trap of being too busy to cook and then having to eat junk food for your lunch, or having to go get fast food during your lunch at the food court or stand that is closest to your office. This will result in you consistently overeating on calories. If you can meal prep, and there's different ways to do this, if you can meal prep ahead of time, have that lunch ready to go for you, you'll be able to have more protein, most likely. You'll be able to eat less calories. And on Nick's side, you'll probably save quite a bit of money. Even if we're just looking at like a protein-packed meal, if we're looking at like a muscle milk kind of a thing and it's not even a meal, you're just like buying a protein shake from like a kiosk or something, that muscle milk's going to be like $4. Here at Earth Fare in Charleston, you can ground a pound of ground beef for $3.99. So saying that it's too expensive to eat healthy, I would disagree with entirely.
Yeah, and I mean, a good way to save time is what I've been doing. I make 2 portions of dinner. Yep. And I just have the other half for lunch the following day.
Yes, that's my favorite way to do it as well, because I do cook dinner every night. So while I'm cooking, I'll make an extra portion, and that will be my lunch for the next day. If you, for whatever reason, don't do that, the other way to do it is to meal prep over the weekend before the week. Make the same thing, 4 or 5 servings of it, and then have that as Tupperware in your refrigerator to have every day. So I think those are probably the 2 easiest ways to do it, is to either meal prep over the weekend for the coming week, or each night to make an extra portion for the next day.
I was just reading this article about a guy who, to meal prep, he would get like catering ordered from Chipotle, pick it up, and then just freeze it. So I haven't looked into the economics of it, but he was saying that it's cheaper than making it yourself.
That is creative.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, and it's also cheaper than going, to Chipotle in like 10 individual times.
Absolutely.
We've
done the price comparison before. I forget which episode it is, but we'll tag it right here for those watching about the price comparison from going to Chipotle versus making it yourself. Of course, it's cheaper yourself, and you can probably get more protein. Of course, more protein is always the goal, right, Nick?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The next thing that I have here for staying healthy with an office job is blue light blocking glasses. If you're working at an office job and you're working on a screen all day, working at your computer, at your desk, having some blue light blocking glasses can help you stay focused better throughout the day, and then also can help you wind down and rest better, help you get into that recovery state, especially at night, especially if you are working closer until you go to bed. For about 3 hours before you go to bed, you want to minimize the amount of blue light you have. I think, have you talked about this before? I know you listen to the Huberman Lab podcast. He talks about it. So
yeah, we talked about RA Optics a little bit. It's a company that makes blue light blocking glasses. I think they're around like $80 or so. I've been using a pair that my coworker gave me though. He said he got them off Amazon for like $12 or something.
Probably don't work then.
You don't think so?
No. If they're really cheap like that, then they're usually not like actual blue light blocking glasses. A lot of the blue light wavelength light will get through. It's just kind of like if you get really, really cheap red light therapy bulbs, they're just like painted red and they're not actually the correct wavelength of light. So those two things, I guess, are like we talked about in, I forget which episode that we talked about it in, but the quality reps episode, where we talked about sometimes it is a much better investment to just spend more money on a more quality product. Next, I've got caffeine. If you are working on an office job and because you're sitting and you're sedentary all day, you get tired at your desk, and because of that, you drink coffee like throughout the day into the afternoon. That's probably going to mess with your sleep a little bit. If you are having caffeine later than 10, 11, 12 o'clock, it's most likely going to impact your sleep at night. And as we've talked about a lot on this show, your sleep is critically important to not just your health, but also your fat loss and your muscle building goals. So don't hijack your sleep by drinking coffee late into the day. I am a culprit of this. I love coffee. I drink it. But the half-life of coffee will keep caffeine in the half-life of caffeine, not coffee. The half-life of caffeine will make it so that you still have caffeine in your system when you're trying to wind down to bed if you're having it later than in just the morning. So avoid drinking caffeine later in the day if you can.
Yeah, I've been pretty good about avoiding afternoon caffeine, but I do have a very sedentary job, and I was having a problem with getting tired in the middle of the day for a while. I found that going on walks, it like works wonders.
Yeah.
Just doing a walk every like 2 hours or so, at 10 after lunch, at around 2:30.
Get the blood flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people are like, oh, I can't just like get up and leave my desk. And to that, I say, then bring a gallon of water with you to work and just drink a lot of water. And then you have to go to the bathroom. And are they going to tell you can't go to the bathroom at most jobs? I don't think that's the case. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think most jobs would tell somebody that they can't go for a walk in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
I think that's more just people not setting boundaries at work, where, I mean, like a 10 or 15-minute walk, if your employer won't let you do that, you might want to find a new job. Like that's kind of ridiculous.
The last step or factor or what have you that I have here is your post-work habits. If you have an office job and you're sedentary all day and you are always on a screen and you get fast food during the day and then you come home and you just do more of that, you lay down on the couch and watch TV and get DoorDash, and you're just doing more of the same, it's not going to help you combat the negative aspects of that office job for your health, right? So An important thing here is your post-work habits, making sure that you're active after work and that you're eating healthy after work. You're not getting DoorDash every day, and that you do set boundaries with that blue light and those screens. So when you get home, trying to avoid that DoorDash and Netflix lifestyle post-work is going to be another factor for your health. And then also, of course, going to the gym if you're not a morning person after work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a couple of things I would add is to get a standing desk. I know if you ask most employers, they will get you one. I was reading about it. There's something with like some sort of legal liability where if you ask for one, they pretty much have to give you one. Okay. So getting a standing desk, just getting up and standing is much better than sitting. And if you want to level that one up, there are also treadmill desks. I have never tried one out. I don't know if I'd be able to really type and walk at the same time, but people seem to love them.
It sounds like way too coordinated of a movement for me. I have limited bandwidth for hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, so. But I mean, if you're just like taking calls or like on a Zoom call or something, be a pretty good way to get some extra steps in. I guess. Yeah. Also, if you live in a city, walking to a grocery store is what I did in Milwaukee because I didn't have a car. So I'd walk to the grocery store, walk to the gym, just walking more places rather than driving.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the wealth portion of the show with Nick here. Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of how to sustain your wealth while in college.
How to not go broke in college.
Pretty much. Yeah, because you don't want to be living on credit cards. That's not good. So the number one way is really scholarships, not to go into a bunch of debt or have to pay for college completely out of pocket. It's the number one expense while you're in college. We did a whole episode on it, but a lot of people don't know that you can still get scholarships while you're in college. Mm-hmm. So when I was, I think, a sophomore, I just went through our accounting department, applied for a scholarship, and got an extra like $2,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And just trying to get scholarships, it just adds up really quickly.
Yep.
The second one is to make money in college. So you can get a part-time job. That's one option. I know we talked about our friend Pat Hessian. Mm-hmm. He worked a lifeguarding job all the way through college and made a decent amount of money, I assume.
Yeah, and like I had 21 credits pretty much every semester of college, but then at the end when I think I was at like 14 or 15 credits, I felt like I had a lot more free time, and I was working about 30 hours a week at the gym. Mm-hmm. So that's money right there. And it's very possible to have a part-time job. I feel like people that think they're too busy in college to have a part-time job might just need to do a little bit better with time management. There's definitely time.
Yeah. You definitely have a lot of free time in college. It also depends on your major and if you're working or not. I mean, like that'll make a big difference too. But if you're just going to class, you honestly do have time to get a job as well.
Yeah. I think it's just a priority thing because, like, even with like EMS, like that was completely volunteer, and that was a lot of pre-med students that were really busy studying for the MCAT, stuff like that. But that EMS was a top priority to them, so they spent all that time and all those volunteer hours doing that, and we didn't get paid for the EMT's service, but it was a priority to them, and they fit it in. So it's just like, do you want to prioritize having a part-time job? There's room for it if you prioritize it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and since you do have a lot of extra time, it's also a great time to find people to start a business with. I don't think we ever talked about that in college, but it's a great way to network. You can meet so many different people in college who are also thinking the same way as you. Another way is to sell plasma. I know. It's a legitimate, like I know one of my roommates senior year was running pretty low on funds, and they pay pretty well.
It's like you can get like $100 per donation, I think.
Yeah, and they run like a lot of promos, and
6 weeks spaced out. I think usually you can't do it like every day.
Yeah, I think it's like two in a week or something like that.
Oh, it's that often?
2 or 3 in a week. Yeah. But it's like $100 per session. I think the first one is usually like 4 or 5 hours, but after that, it's like a 1.5 hour thing. So, That's one way.
That is a way. Yep. Start selling your organs, I guess.
Just like all right, and then so that kind of covers making money, and then you can also save money. So on food, I know Ted and I are going to be working on a budget-friendly grocery list, because that's a big challenge a lot of people face is shopping healthy while also staying on budget.
Yeah. They're not mutually exclusive things. You can be healthy and save money. So Nick and I will be doing an episode and putting out a guide on our website for staying on budget with eating healthy.
And then another way is just to get roommates that'll lower the cost of living. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So
Is that all you got for us?
that's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in with us again on this episode of Weights and Wealth. Please share our podcast with your like-minded friends and family, and give us the 5-star reviews, the likes, the subscribes, all that good stuff, if you feel that we warrant it, of course. We'll see you next time.